Words and weapons, sharpening knives, makes you wonder how the other half died. Other half died. Makes you wonder, wonder. But here come the man with a look in his eye. It's fed on nothing but full of pride. Look at him go, look at him kick. Makes you wonder how the other half live. Devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside, devil inside.
shine on the tennis court. It's a big stage, and yeah, I'm showing my best tennis. That's what I'm really love to do, and for what I'm living actually. So it's a really enjoyable time out there.
Of course, when you're down and out like I was in the second match, it's like, you know, I don't want to face that phone call with my father too many times during the tournament. So it's like I better get my stuff together. So yeah, it was important to change some things around and just to come out with a little bit of a different perspective and yeah, play a bit better. So I'm happy I was able to do that.
It's not my day. I didn't play with the right intensity, with the right rhythm, and the opponent played better than me. That's just the beginning of the season, and I want to keep having chances to compete well against everybody.
You've been very up and down. You've had a very good match, very so-so match in this
tournament.
tournament.
Very so-so, no, very bad. You can say, no problem.
It's been a roller coaster the last couple of days, you know. Not getting much sleep, but you know, I've enjoyed it, and that's, you know, I'm just happy that, you know, I've got as far as I did. And so, I mean, quarterfinals of Australian Open, my second time around. Obviously, that match against Seppi is one of my favourite matches I've ever played. So there's a lot of great experience I can draw on when I come here next year.
Maybe I don't play well in a couple of days. Maybe I play great. Well, I don't know. But I've given myself a good opportunity again. Hopefully, I can use it to my advantage.
Welcome everyone, quarterfinal day, version number 2, day 10 here at the 2015 Australian Open. For those making their way into the precinct and for those that will be queuing up to get in just after 10 o'clock and for those viewing our pitches right around the world, welcome. We are getting towards the business end of the 2015 Australian Open. It's a fascinating run home from here on both the men's and the women's sides. A very good morning to you, Kelly Underwood.
Good morning, Brett Phillips. And day 10, we hit double digits. How on earth did we do that? But sure. We've already got a few semi-finalists and some wonderful matches that we saw yesterday. And the most important thing is that the big names are still alive, as you called it, the business end of the season, of the slam rather. But look at the weather today. It's been absolutely perfect. We've had one hot day, one cold day, but the average has just been stunning. And a top of 23 degrees today. It's currently 16, and that aerial is just spectacular. And plenty happening on the outside court. Still, we've got the mixed doubles underway. Of course, women's doubles getting closer to that final on Friday. Men's doubles and the juniors as well. We'll catch up with Mark Edney soon.
Indeed, a lot of the juniors still alive in the tournament, which is great. The legends will be out there today. So for the Grand Pass holders, get around. Margaret Court Arena, go and take a look because it looks absolutely spectacular, and park yourself courtside. Let's go back a few hours, Kel, to last night. The build-up. We started it here yesterday, Nick Kyrgios v Andy Murray. We thought probably realistically it was going to be a tough assignment for Nick, considering the way Andy's played and the golf in their careers. Big stage for Nick to step up onto Rod Laver Arena. Well done to Andy Murray, give him all the kudos. Straight sets last night, tactically very good. He's a great athlete and he's a real contender from this point on as a man in form that can, well, make it fourth time lucky possibly here at Melbourne Park.
Well, if you thought the hype and build-up was big here in Australia, I can tell you, I worked with the BBC last night and it was just as big over there. They were really looking forward to this because Andy Murray's had a really up and down 12 months since he returned here last year after coming off that back surgery. He's had a bit of upheaval in the camp, of course. He's split with his long-term coach, Danny Valverde, and the controversial appointment to get Amelie Mauresmo on board. But I think some credit needs to go to Mauresmo here because, I mean, those two top spin lobs that we saw in that second set tiebreak were exquisite. But Andy is fit, he's athletic, he's so quick. He was running down balls that Nick Kyrgios would usually see as a winner.
Yep.
And, of course, that was frustrating the youngster. This was just the gap and the golf in different class. We know that Kyrgios has the potential to get there one day, but Andy Murray was as impressive as Nick Kyrgios, you know, put in a solid performance. You thought after the couple of five-setters, just ran out of gas, but it was just a different class level.
Well, we always thought, didn't we, that Nick Kyrgios needed to win the first set for his own confidence, to get him into the game, to get the crowd going on Rod Laver Arena. So Murray gets the break midway through that first set, and he kept bringing Nick to the net. He was putting a lot of little drop shots, really getting Nick out of his comfort zone. Not happy just to sort of rally on the baseline, and he never plays the same shot twice in a row, Murray. It is variation.
Smart,
and look,
isn't he?
everyone talked about Kyrgios' serving going in and Murray's return of serve, but Murray's serving last night, I mean, he can take the pace off his placement. I mean, sometimes he was serving at 130 Ks, but it was the placement where Kyrgios couldn't get a record on it.
Absolutely, and you'd have to favour Andy Murray now for the final, and what a story that would be. It'd be in his 4th Australian Open final. He's yet to win one, maybe against his arch-rival Novak Djokovic. And in the women's, Maria Sharapova looks like she's on track for a 4th final here as well, but of course, she won one back in 08.
Well, in regard to Murray, now I sat here yesterday and watched a very tense third set. Thomas Berdych finally got over the line, the monkey off the back against Rafael Nadal, who won the last 17 encounters.
Yeah, what was he should have said after in the press conference, no one beats Thomas Berdych 18 times in a row.
And you sort of walk away from that match thinking, well, gee, Thomas Berdych could win the Australian Open. And I don't think we could have said that maybe a couple of days ago or a week ago. We were even doubting he could win a slam at all at 29, but he made a little statement. He had to stand up under enormous pressure. Nadal was coming. If Nadal had taken that third set, you sense that the momentum would have really shifted and Thomas might have got the wobbles a bit.
I don't think he made a little statement. I think he made a big statement, and he's been making a big statement for the last week or so here, because he's had a bit of upheaval in the life in a positive way, in a sense, over the last few months. He hired Danny Valverde, which makes it fascinating, this semi-final matchup, because certainly I think there are some tense feelings between the two camps. He recently got engaged. He's definitely been in the gym. Of all the players out on court that have emerged for 2015, he looks like the body shape's different. You know, he's absolutely bulked up. He's cancelled his Davis Cup commitments early on for the season because he says, I'm 29, I've got a year or two left in me, and this is it. It's all or nothing. And I think he genuinely believes that he can win the Australian Open here.
Well, it's a great matchup, and Andy Murray's in great form. Thomas Berdych's got self-belief, and that seems to have been the issue for him over the years. Not so much his game, he's always been a pure ball striker, but it's above the shoulders for Thomas, particularly when he gets to this stage against the very best.
And he was patient against Rafa. I think in the past it has been the mental side, and he's rushed and gone for the shots, gone for the lines, and as a result he's had that high unforced error count, whereas yesterday he was really patient. And how often do you say Rafael Nadal got out-muscled, but he out-bullied him, he out-muscled him, he was just too big, too strong. He just smacks that ball, and Rafa had no answers.
He was pinned to the baseline, Rafa. He couldn't get up into the court and really dictate like he's so accustomed to. Simona Halep, surprised with that result yesterday, and the form she'd been in, Kelly, just to sort of go out in straight sets in fairly meek fashion.
Showed little resistance, didn't she? Which was disappointing. I think all credit has to go to Ekaterina Makarova, because this was a wonderful tactical game that she played. She didn't move Simona side to side. She did the short ball, and she brought Halep in, and Halep was dragged out of her comfort zone, as you can see here, and she just had no answers, Simona Halep, which is unusual because she's such a naturally gifted tennis player. She's got the tennis smarts, but she certainly, Makarova, as I mentioned, drew her out of her comfort zone. She's a lefty, she's a tricky opponent to come up against, and Makarova made the semi-finals of a Grand Slam for the first time at the US Open only a few months ago. So suddenly the belief and the confidence is there, and Halep just did not have the answers, and this was a very sort of anticlimactic quarter-final. It was disappointing and clearly one-sided.
No doubt, and now a big opportunity for Ekaterina Makarova to take on Maria Sharapova, who has got such a great record getting to semi-finals, getting to finals. She's the big game performer. This is another step for Makarova, because Sharapova is the player in the zone. She'll come back from adversity, she'll scrap and she'll fight. She's never done and dusted, and Makarova's just got to keep that self-belief going, confident in her game, but what a breakthrough that would be if she could bundle out Maria Sharapova.
Well, I loved watching this match. This was interesting, wasn't it? Because it was sort of Someone described it as the mini Maria v Maria. So it was the mini me, and Maria Sharapova just wanted to teach her a lesson, I think. Jeannie Bouchard is yet to beat Sharapova. Obviously, they have in common the great marketing ability and the potential off the court to earn a lot of dollars through the sponsorship. And Maria Sharapova just teaching the youngster a tennis lesson yesterday, and she had that look, that steely resolve, came out on a mission, and to think that she faced match point in the second round against her compatriot Panova, and now here she is into a semi-final where, as you mentioned, she'll play her compatriot Katerina Makarova. The one thing in Makarova's favour is that she's a lefty, and Sharapova doesn't like the lefties. She's had issues with them over the past. Certainly Petra Kvitova has given her plenty of headaches in previous encounters. So Sharapova will be out on one of the practice courts here today. Check the time for that, because you'll be able to get up close and see her, and no doubt she'll be having a hit up with a lefty, because that'll be the issue against Makarova.
Yeah, absolutely. So it makes the two matches today really, really fascinating. Serena Williams 4-0 head-to-head against Dominika Cibulkova has only taken one set off her, so it's been fairly one-way traffic. And then we've got this fascinating matchup, Kelly, the 19-year-old Madison Keys, who is hitting the ball as powerfully as anyone in the competition, has been serving over 200 Ks. But Venus Williams, what a resurgence. I think everyone is behind Venus. Everyone loves the story where, you know, people thought she might have been gone. Here she is in the first quarter-final in 5 years. She hasn't won a major since 2008 when she last won at Wimbledon. What a fairy tale that would be in the tail end of her career. I mean, these are great matchups, particularly Keys and Williams I'm looking forward to.
Wonderful storylines, aren't they? And particularly, as you said, Venus Williams. The sport is better off for having Venus Williams still playing. In fact, the Williams sisters. And you just get the feeling that there's still a chapter or two to be written in both their stories. And whether it's today for Venus Williams against the young upstart, this is an amazing story. Madison Keys is playing tennis today because of Venus Williams. When she was a young kid, she was watching the television at home. She saw Venus playing tennis. She said, "Mum, I want that dress." So her parents went out and bought her the dress that Venus Williams was wearing. And I think the deal was, well, if you're going to wear the dress, you might as well hit some tennis balls.
That's right.
So imagine the heart will be pumping out of the chest for Madison Keys when she steps out onto Rod Laver Arena this morning against someone who is the result of why she is here, why she is playing tennis. And she's teamed up with Lindsay Davenport. They've been described as kindred spirits in a sense, plays a similar style. Venus Williams is 34, turns 35 in a few months. She's had a couple of tough five-setters. I just wonder, Brett, whether the legs might get to her.
Well, she had to grit the teeth the other night to get through that third set against Radvanska. She was puffing pretty hard. She was being run from side to side. I mean, Aggie sort of drops in, puts the drop shots in. She makes you work extremely hard. So yeah, I'm keen to see what the recovery will be like for Venus. And then Stan Wawrinka later in the day up against Kei Nishikori, a rematch of their quarterfinal at the US Open, which went 5 last year. That was one of the classics. In fact, if it goes to 5 a game, you're probably got to back in Kei Nishikori. His record is unbelievable. I think the stat is he's lost just 2 of 12 matches he's contested that have been extended to 5 sets.
Isn't that amazing? Yet the question mark over Kei is his fitness. And has he got a 3-4 hour epic in him? That stat would say yes, he does. But you're right, because that quarterfinal match at the US Open, arguably the match of the year in the men's round, and we get a rematch of it. And I'm liking Kei. I think he's looking the goods.
Yeah, big day ahead. Of course, Novak Djokovic tonight from 7:30 up against Milos Raonic, and that is fascinating. I mean, Djokovic has been flawless at this stage. Raonic with the booming serve. Interesting head-to-head.
Well, the interesting head-to-head is that Milos Raonic has never ever beaten Novak Djokovic. So. Sounds familiar. I think 24 hours ago we were saying that about Thomas Berdych. So you just never know what can happen. But Milos Raonic, he's stripped down in the summer. He certainly looks leaner. He looks fitter. He's got that booming serve that can cause all sorts of problems. But Novak is just sliding through at his athletic best, and you would imagine that he would progress. Maybe drop a set, maybe 2, but you'd think whatever the scoreline will be, it will say that Novak will win and move through to a semi-final.
You would think so, Kel. We're off and running on this quarter-final day. We've got Mark Edney to come in very shortly. All the juniors are in action today. Some very big names from an Australian perspective who are looking to get through to the quarter-finals. The legends, the doubles, and spots in the semi-finals on Rod Laver Arena. The morning show, stick with us on the big screens. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Impressive from you today. How did you feel out there playing?
I felt pretty good from the start. I thought I had a really good start, and I kept my focus throughout the whole match. I didn't feel that I had too many letdowns, which is important. And when I did have a few slips, I was able to come out with great first serves or really powerful returns. But overall, really happy with the way the match went.
Saying something a little bit similar from Nadal on the men's side, who had a scare in the second round, and now his last 2 matches today anyway went pretty easily and looked much more comfortable. How do you feel the same sort of thing after that early scare relaxes you and settles you down?
I'm not sure if it has anything to do with Nadal, but
Just in a parallel.
yeah, I mean, we've kind of been playing either before or after each other on the schedule, so I don't know if that's something to do with it. But of course, when you're down and out like I was in the second match, it's like, I don't want to face that phone call with my father too many times during a tournament. So it's like, I better get my stuff together. So yeah, it was important to change some things around and just to come out with a little bit of a different perspective and yeah, play a bit better. So I'm happy I was able to do that.
What did he say to you?
Well, in a nice version, it was like, this is unacceptable. He's like, it is much easier just having a normal home life. You should try it if you really, I don't know why you're suffering out there for nothing. So, make it easier for yourself.
Do you think you're suffering for nothing?
Well, he told me that I was working much harder than I had to. If I was maybe a little bit smarter, did a few things a little differently, maybe it could have been easier.
Do you ever want to tell him that you're not a tennis player?
Excuse me?
Do you ever want to tell him, like, you're not a tennis player, you don't understand that these things happen?
No, I actually think he's absolutely right. Deep down inside, I think, sometimes it's encouraging to hear that because no one will tell you that. I like to hear that. I like coming off the court and hearing how it is. That's what I appreciate from my team and Sven, especially as, he's critical, but in a great way. I mean, I'm in a point in my career, I've gone through a few different coaches. I like real people and honesty. I appreciate that very much. I don't need to go around the corners and telling me, you're great and you'll improve in the next one. Like, if you played a terrible match, you played a terrible match. Go out there, go practice, go do whatever it takes to change things around because you're not going to win this tournament that way.
The Kia Cerato has surprised many of Australia's leading journalists since its launch. Paul Gover from Cars Guide said the Cerato hatch is the new Kia we've been waiting for and another surefire winner. And Tim Weissman from caradvice.com.au said the all-new Cerato is packed with the latest technology. The Kia Cerato hatch. It surprised the motoring experts. And with Australia's only 7-year unlimited kilometre factory warranty, it will surprise you too.
Join the rally for good. The more people we get involved, the more money we raise for a good cause. Ready? Keep the rally going by posting your shot your way using hashtag #RallyForGood. Your game, your way.
Great to have you with us here at Melbourne Park on quarter-final day, of course, version 2, and who can get through to the semis all ahead of us. The action to start at 11 o'clock on Rod Laver Arena, but all around the course, some great value if you've got a Grand Pass day. The legends, we've got doubles, Casey Delac was still alive in the mixed doubles, and plenty of the juniors to update us. Mark Edney, as always, here on The Morning Show. Morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Third round, and they're going to be out early. Sarah Tomic, Mark Polman's out on show court 3. I like Mark Polman's. I think he's one that we need to keep an eye on. Kimberly Birrell, you've been certainly pumping up, and a couple out on court 8, so plenty of the Australians still alive.
Yeah, we do. We have 3 boys and 3 girls playing today. Sarah played a fantastic match yesterday and has the chance to play Mikhaila Kova from Slovak Republic. She beat the number 2 seed yesterday in tight 3 sets. Mark Polman's a great match against Sumit Nagal from India. Jake Delaney has a tough ask today. He plays the number 1 seed from Russia, Roman Safalin. And like we said, another great opportunity for Destiny Ava as well.
Tell us that we're up to the third round. Is it similar to a Grand Slam event for the pros, or how does it work advancing through to the finals?
Yeah, so the junior draw is only 64 players in the draw. So the third round, then they'll have the opportunity to move into the quarterfinals, and then only a couple of matches left before you might walk onto Rod Laver Arena.
So just to those players, Mark, who's the best chance to advance a little bit further? Are you giving them all a pretty good coach? You mentioned Delaney's got to play the top seed, which is a bit of a tough ask, but how are you sort of ranking our juniors today?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I think both Mark Polmans and Akira Santillan are playing some great ball, and they're in nice little spots in the draw. Look, Jake's playing the number 1 seed, but geez, he played well against the 15th seed. I think he only dropped 1 or 2 games. So when Jake's playing well, he's hitting the ball hard and strong. He can serve really big, so anything could happen there. And all 3 of the girls have great chances as well. Sarah Tomick's playing extremely well at the moment. She's big and powerful. Kimberly Birrell, obviously backing on her results from last week. And Destiny Ieva, I mean, you know, there's nothing she can't do. You know, she competes, she's fierce, she's strong. She's going to give herself the best chance to win today as well.
And some of the wheelies are in action today. Can you tell us about Dylan Alcott? This is a name I keep hearing pops up quite a bit. I know he gets a little bit of media in the press and the paper here in Melbourne.
He does, Dylan. Look, Dylan's one of our quad players. So Dylan started his quad journey this time last year. He was a wheelchair tennis player up until the age of about 17 and 18. Moved over to wheelchair basketball, went to Beijing, won gold medal, a part of the the Australian wheelchair basketball team. Then from there continued on and won silver in London again with the wheelchair basketball team, and then came back to tennis. So Dylan's a part of our full-time performance program. We have an integrated performance program with able-bodied athletes and wheelchair athletes, which is fantastic. We're one of the only countries in the world that does that. And on the back of last year, Dylan's now number 2 in the world, which is fantastic. Made the final of the Masters in London at the end of 2014, and we'll start this year, obviously, 2 in the world and trying to chase his first Grand Slam title and hopefully one day become world number 1.
And just before Christmas, he competed here at Melbourne Park, and I think it was a 24-hour challenge, and he raised lots of money, I think, for charity. There was lots of other sporting stars who actually came out a hit with him across that 24-hour period.
Yeah, look, it was fantastic. It was held here at Melbourne Park at the National Tennis Centre. And what he was doing was raising money for the 2 foundations that helped him get a start. So I think he raised nearly close to $100,000, one of them being the Starlight Foundation, and just a way to give back and hopefully to give somebody else an opportunity to move into sport and to start their journey in the great sport that we have.
Just on Mark Polman, so I had a little look at Mark, and I reckon he's got a lot of potential. So he's had a little taste of the wildcard playoff. Just tell us a bit more about him and his development and where he's at. He wears sort of the old-fashioned floppy hat at times, sort of the Michael Chang old style hat.
Yeah, and the old Legionnaires hat, the old Ivan Lendl, I think, used to have one down here at Melbourne Park. But look, Mark's been working really well within our National Academy in Melbourne. He's coached by Wayne Arthurs, obviously a former Davis Cup player and a great player himself. He's getting bigger and stronger now and a lot more physical, which is important. He'll transition onto the ATP Tour. He had a taste of it last year playing some challenger events and some future events. Won his first round here in the qualifying at the Australian Open as well. So he's just moving into that stage of his development where he'll play the Grand Slams in 2015 and then start to, chip away at his ATP ranking.
Good on you, Mark. Always good to catch up with all the juniors news, and we hopefully, fingers crossed, a few more can advance today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Mark Edney here on the morning show. The Legends, Cal, they'll be out and about today. In fact, I saw a little bit of fast 4 on Rod Laver Arena last night. The Woodies still looking very sharp up against Thomas Johansson and Jonas Bjorkman, and they're a big part of the Australian Open this year.
It's amazing the amount of data the Australian Open generates. Every photo posted, every ticket bought, every ball that's hit. Analytics help us gain insight into millions of data points to make better decisions and provide better services. Ultimately, every fan, every player, every partner has a better experience, which makes the Australian Open a better event.
Tina looks like she's in need of something refreshing.
Canadian Club and Dry, thanks.
I knew it. Bring on the sexy person. Canadian Club. Tastes refreshing, like a snowball in your face from a sexy person.
Woolworths is proud as a peach to support fresh talent everywhere, especially our Woolworths Ball Kids. Woolworths, feeding fresh talent.
With ANZ Tennis Hotshots, your kids will be burning energy on court and rallying with their friends from the moment they can swing a racket. Balls, courts and rackets are kid-sized, making it easy for them to rally and score from the very start. They'll be so busy having fun, their learning skills for life. Visit hotshots.tennis.com.au and sign your kids up today.
Jacobs Creek. We're made by here. This valley with all its charms and challenges. Made by the sun that makes or breaks our hearts. By early starts, late night obsessions and wild ideas. Made by over 160 years of doing what we love. Birthed from the land, shaped by the people, inspired by the continent. Made by Australia. Jacobs Creek, made true.
Well, today America does go into battle. It's the veteran, it's the 7-time Grand Slam champion, Venus Williams, up against the 19-year-old, one of the rising stars of American tennis, who got into tennis on the back of admiring Venus Williams. What a matchup today. Madison Keys, her big moment on the big stage.
Well,
Kelly Underwood?
It certainly is, and of course she knocked out Petra Kvitova in the biggest match of her career only a few nights ago here on Rod Laver Arena. We saw Lindsay Davenport sitting in her coach's box, and she was so engaged, Lindsay. She was on the edge of her seat. She could barely watch as Madison Keys knocked out Petra Kvitova and then moved through, beating her compatriot Madison Brengle in this match here. And I mean, we talk about obviously a lot over the last 10 days, the success of the locals and the Aussies and the new generation. What's been sort of lost a little bit, Brett, here at Melbourne Park has been the resurgence of the Americans. And I know John Isner and Big Steve Johnson got knocked out in the 4th round, but 3 of the 4 quarter finalists in the women's draw today are American. And it looks like if Serena can beat Cibulkova, we'll have an American in the final and a Russian in the final. So certainly there's a nice little storyline there. But Madison Keys, she's got everything ahead of her. If she can put it all together on a consistent basis, that's got future Grand Slam winner and possibly world number one.
No doubt. Well, ranked 35 in the world coming in, so that ranking is going to improve significantly. And we had a list of potentials before the tournament, and she's the one still left there. There's some girls that were ranked better than her, which have exited the tournament, but Madison Keys is on the way. I mean, if you're serving in the women's game at times over 200 Ks, you are going to be a formidable opponent. Strong off the ground, but I love her court presence. She walks out there on court, a bit like Nick Kyrgios. I love the big stage. I belong here.
Yeah, well, we learned a lot about her when she walked out to serve for the match against Petra Kvitova, and it was just 4 first serves. Wins the point, wins the game to love, and closes out the match. So she can close it out. She's got the self-belief. She's got all the tools, and she is really an excitement machine. And Wally Masur was in here yesterday telling us that out of all the players in the women's and the men's draw, he's seen the stat that she generates more speed and more pace consistently off her racket. Not just the serve, but the ground strokes as well. Than the men. I mean, that's just power tennis, isn't it?
Indeed, Kel, and I think just on the Williams sisters, one thing we've got to admire, and they had a lot of success very early on. We go back to Venus's last final, which was 2003 here at Melbourne Park. Now, that feels like yesterday, but that's 12 years ago, which is phenomenal. So the fact she's back here with an opportunity to maybe possibly contest a final at 34 is testament to their longevity, their passion for the game, their skill, and probably above all that, they just love to win. They are the ultimate competitors, the Williams sisters, and they're showing no signs of petering out of the game in the next 2 or 3 years.
They've always polarised tennis fans, and it's very easy to criticise the Williams sisters, but my personal opinion is while they're playing, tennis is better off for it. Imagine, imagine the future tennis circuit, what it's going to look like when the Williams sisters aren't playing. And I think they're giving back now towards these later years. I mean, they burst on the scene 15, 16 years old. Venus has been on tour for nearly 2 decades. It's remarkable. And when they came on the scene, they said, we're here for a short time, not a long time. We're here to win. And then by mid-20s, they gave the indication, we're out of here. We want to do other things with our lives. We want to be fashion designers and, study and do all sorts of other things with their lives. So we just sort of thought by the mid-20s, they might fade out of the game. But for Venus to come back after illness and injury, and she is back just enjoying the game, which is remarkable. It's a bit like what Andre Agassi went through in his career. That sort of punk that arrived on the scene and everyone sort of polarised a lot of people. Then he was brash and a bit outspoken and slowly matured. And towards the end, everyone was like, we want you to stay here forever because it's so good.
Well, so many tennis players have some peaks and troughs, don't they? I mean, it's why we probably admire Roger Federer more than anyone because he's maintained such a high level for a large number of years. So Venus has had a bit of a lull, had illness. Now she's back. She's still got the passion, but she's fit. The mind's better. The fitness is better. And she's able to compete at that same level she did a few years ago. They've only met once on clay. That was 2013. And Venus won that in straight sets. But that's 2 years ago when...
So Madison was 17.
So she's come a long way since then.
The thing with Venus, it looks like she's fallen back in love with the game, doesn't she? And so that's a joy for us to watch.
No doubt. The second match is going to be fantastic. I'm really intrigued what Dominika Cibulkova, what the game plan is going to be and what she would be discussing with her coach because in the previous meetings against Serena Williams, she's hardly got a look in and Serena will look at this as an opportunity to really stamp herself early. She hasn't been able to do that in all her matches. Been a slow starter, Serena, a number of her matches. I reckon Serena will come out with a real intent to get on the board and just squash anything that Cibulkova throws at her early today.
Well, if this was a boxing match, they would be in completely different categories, wouldn't they? Because you've got the enormous presence of Serena Williams, so intimidating up one end, and then just the pocket rocket down the other, who just likes to run and smack that ball as hard as she can. She clobbers it. So we were talking yesterday, Brett, Cibulkova needs to get Serena on her bike. She needs to move her side to side, left to right. Whether she has the time and the ability to actually get in the match, find some timing, find some rhythm, engage in rallies and get on that point where she can dictate, time will tell. But Serena might just use the power and blow her off the court. Now, Serena's been shaky. She's been a little sloppy. We have not seen her at her very best yet, but we don't need to see her at her best yet. She's worked her way slowly into this tournament. She dropped her first set a couple of times and has had to fight back and win it in 3 sets. But the thing that's got her out of trouble every time so far this week has been that just rocket serve, that bullet-like, particularly down the middle. She's served the fastest women's serve so far, 204 Ks an hour, if you don't mind. I mean, that's up there with the men's fastest serves, and that's what she has that makes her world class. When she's in trouble, she can serve her way out of trouble.
Yeah, 39th Grand Slam quarterfinal for Serena Williams, and when she gets to this stage, if she wins, she normally goes on to win the tournament. So we've seen her exit the quarterfinals a few times, but Cibulkova, look, she's going to need to be aggressive, going to need to take some risks. You're right, she's got to get Serena on her bike. I mean, she can't just be hitting straight up and down and think she's going to win the points. I'm sure she knows this. I'm sure her team will have discussed this, which means you've got to take a few risks. You've got to paint the lines at times.
Absolutely.
But the greatest risk, Kel,
yes,
is to take no risk at all.
Thanks for that, Brett. I might just write that down.
Thank you.
What it does mean is we are on track for maybe the blockbuster world number 1 against world number 2 in the women's final, Sharapova against Serena Williams, and fingers crossed, because that would be an absolute a titanic struggle, and would love to see it. Indeed.
We'll take a little break. We'll be back with plenty more. We're building up to all the action. Quarter-final day to kick off at 11 o'clock here at Melbourne Park.
It's a different kind of player, you know. I don't have a big serve, obviously, but working on it all the time, and I don't think it's something that I have weakness there anymore. But yeah, I have to compensate my height with something, so I just put a lot of energy in my tennis. You know, I go for my winners, and I'm just not like a typical small player that I'm just defensive. You know, I'm going for it, and that's my tennis about.
She is a really good player. I mean, to be her size, she hits so hard and she plays so well, and she's just such a power, compact, great player. So I just have to stay focused and not underestimate her, and realize that she actually almost beat me before, so I want to make sure that I come ready and prepared.
I don't know. I just energy that I have, and yeah, that's how I like to play tennis. That's how I like to be on the court. You know, aggressive and fight for every ball, and that's how I am.
He's a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist. So when I'm not where I need to be, he is there, and he's like, you know, you have to be better. There's no other option but to be better. He's brought a lot of consistency to my game, and a lot of motivation, and you know, and a lot of strategy. I go into a match knowing exactly what to expect, what to do, and it makes my life a lot easier.
At Medibank, we've made getting to the gym a little bit easier by rolling 3 major gym memberships into one. Gym Better gives you access to Fitness First, Anytime Fitness and Good Life Health Club networks nationwide for just $8.50 a visit. With no contracts and no joining fees, a Medibank membership is the only gym membership you'll need. Changing the way we go to the gym, all part of Generation Better. Call or search Medibank today.
tomorrow. Game, set, Maxis.
Yes, I really feel every Grand Slam has its specific feel about it, and the crowds obviously is a big part of that. And here I really feel people are very knowledgeable about sport. They come out, they are loud, they are excited, and they make us enjoy competition way more, and they make us want to put a better show for them.
Yeah, the crowd in Hisense Arena was unbelievable. I've never experienced anything like that. The court was really cool. I mean, it was actually pretty small, but you know, the crowd, there was so many people in there, and that's definitely my favourite court I've ever played on.
I hear the crowd a lot. The crowd here in Melbourne's great for me. They root really hard. It's been a wonderful experience. So I love the crowd here.
I think the crowd here is amazing and really great that a lot of people are coming to see the tennis and to support us.
Sometimes you can feel it, and so many times happened in the past that the crowd was the reason that I sort of pulled through some tough matches because they really get behind players, and I really feel I have great support here, which is always so nice.
Outstanding crowds here at the 2015 Australian Open. More to come through the gates very, very shortly. 10 o'clock they will open. All the action for quarter-final day here at Melbourne Park. We thought we'd get Stephanie Miles back because the Canadians, well, are doing well on the men's side of the draw. They're still there. Eugenie Bouchard is out, but Stephanie Miles, it wouldn't be the morning program without you. Welcome.
Well, thank God you have coffee here. That's all I can say. We're getting to that point.
How did you look back on yesterday? Sharapova v Bouchard. What was your view of that game?
I thought that Miss Bouchard got a lesson from the master right there on every possible level, psychological, tennis-wise, and she really, it was almost like a college senior kind of picking on a high school freshman. You know what I mean? There was just a lot of internal drama and tension and everything going on there, but the bottom line is Sharapova's a better player. And she played very, very well. And when that happens, there's not a lot that Bouchard can yet do to do anything about it.
You could feel the tension, couldn't you, between the two? It was very frosty out there. It was, someone described it as Maria playing Mini Maria, or her Mini-Me. And Jeannie Bouchard, right from the start, just couldn't get any rhythm, any timing. Stephanie, she wasn't allowed any time to even engage in any rallies, and couldn't live up to the hype and the semi-finals that she made here last year.
Exactly right. I mean, I happen to think that her making the quarterfinals here, given the way she finished last year and the offseason she had, I think it's a very, very good result.
I agree. Yep.
But I think that she came up against somebody who was a different level, and she got off to a bad start. So she was never able to get herself on a roll of confidence. And once that happened, it was basic. I don't even think it was as close as the score. But again, good tournament for her.
Yeah, straight sets for Maria Sharapova. What about the year ahead now for Eugenie Bouchard? Because obviously she stepped onto the scene in great fashion, performing so well at 3 of the slams in particular last year. What's sort of going to be, she's still young, so sometimes we get a bit ahead and we want to put all this pressure on players who have reached inside that top 10. But what's sort of the pass mark, if you like, for Eugenie this year?
It's difficult because the closer you get to the top of the pyramid, the steeper the steps are. And the top 4 are a cut above, just even in terms of the rankings, everybody else. And you saw what happened to Simona Halep. and she's in one of those top 4, and then the next 4 are fairly close. So the thing is, she has a lot of room at the other tournaments other than Grand Slams to earn points and keep her ranking up. Her next destination possibly is Fed Cup for Canada, but from what we could see yesterday and from what I had spoken to her before the tournament, it doesn't look like she's going to play. It looks as though she'll be in Montreal, hanging out with her sisters while Canada's fighting the Czech Republic 2.5 hours down the road. So I don't know how well that's going to play back in Canada if that happens. Hopefully she'll change her mind.
20, about to turn 21. It feels like she's walking a fine line at the moment because she had such a stunning year last year and then a bit of upheaval in the camp over the last couple of months. She split with her long-term coach. She's brought in a new manager who is Serena Williams' manager, who's very well known on the tour. And suddenly the sponsors are there, brand new, the big management company, the sponsors are falling over themselves. And she's got that delicate balance now, trying to work out how much time do I dedicate to Fed Cup, to the Grand Slams, to my tennis, to the marketability aspect away from the court. Do you feel that? And she's without a coach.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a problem there. I mean, people used to say that about Sharapova. Oh, she's glamorous and she's only interested in the modeling things and she's not paying enough attention to her tennis. But I think her career has pretty much told everybody what they should have known in the first place, which is that she was driven. And Jeannie has that same drive. She doesn't actually have a lot of sponsors right now. Surprisingly, she didn't have a lot of management from when she made the Wimbledon final last July. So that's all still very much open. In fact, her Nike contract expired. And so she's wearing their clothes, but she's not actually yet renewed or under contract with them. So it's about the tennis, but she has to get her tennis back on track.
What about for Milos Raonic tonight? Up against Novak Djokovic, no easy assignment. What's your thoughts heading into this game tonight on Rod Laver Arena?
Well, I think he has a better chance. I gave him a better chance than I gave Bouchard against Sharapova yesterday. That's not saying much. I think in best of 3, I would give him, again, a better chance. It's a difficult assignment. The 4 other times they played on much slower courts. They played on red clay, and then they played last fall in Bercy, which is just before the World Tour Finals. But Raonic had just beaten Roger Federer for the first time, and then he gets to the final of this, and then he's just made the Tour Finals for the first time. And so it wasn't a great result. Over 5 sets, I think the fast court might help him if he serves really, really well. But I'll say this, I have never seen him play so well in terms of his all-around game. He just looks so good. So hopefully, if he doesn't win, at least it'll be a good step towards getting closer.
And physically, it looks like he's slimmed down. He must have spent a lot of time in the gym, not just pumping the weights, but really working on the diet and the cardio side of things, because he looks super fit, but he looks slim.
You know what? That's a very, very common thing. I've never seen so many narrow heads as I have, coming into the Australian Open this year. I think he dropped about 6 kilos, but it was late. The whole idea was to get him a little bit leaner, but still keep his strength in the legs. So that's a very scientific thing that you have to do. I think just changing his eating habits a little bit resulted in him dropping weight, which boys are much better at than we ladies are. So good for him. Yeah.
Stephanie, from here, who wins on the men's and the women's side? Now we're starting to really narrow the field.
I think, oh boy, they always say, especially in this era of the Big Four, that if you want to win a Grand Slam, you have to go through 2, possibly 3 of the big 3, Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer. Well, 2 of them are gone already. So in theory, to win a Grand Slam, the only guy out of all those guys you have to get through is Djokovic, which is a great opportunity. Now, who's it going to be? No idea. Women's side, no idea. Serena Williams is always the favorite, unless she comes out looking sluggish like she has. Who knows?
Yeah, which makes it for a fascinating end, which is great for us to love the sport. Thank you, Stephanie. Enjoy the tennis tonight and enjoy the rest of the tournament.
Go Canada, and go Charlotte Robillard-Millet, who is out there playing one of your Aussies in the 3rd round. It's her first Grand Slam ever. She's already beaten one of you, and so we'll have to give her a little push.
Stephanie Miles just flying the Canadian flag for us here on The Morning Show. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
as a challenge. What a shot by Yanovitz. Entertaining best.
Some of the great action so far from the 2015 Australian Open. As we get into day 10, quarter-final day, it now starts to get very, very interesting. Who's going to survive and go a bit deeper into the draw? And all the action coming up at 11 o'clock. Let's have a chat to Craig Tiley. As always, joining us here, the Tournament Director, CEO of Tennis Australia. Good morning, Craig.
Morning.
The night after, the build-up to Nick Kyrgios and Andy Murray. And look, full credit to Murray. He was terrific last night, winning in straight sets. First time that Nick had played on RLA, and a big moment for him, 15,000 right behind him. But it was a step up in class against Andy Murray.
Well, it was, and there was a lot of hype around last night's match, and I thought Nick did a great job, particularly in the second set, and had opportunities to win the second set. It's probably 5 or 6 points that he was a little loose on, and had he not been as loose on those points, it could have completely turned the match. But he came up against a world-class player and someone who's actually one of the favourites to win this event. And in fact, Nick said that the last time he played on Rod Laver was the junior finals, when he played Thanasi Kokkinakis, and it was fun seeing a picture of him that he looked so much younger than, even though it was a couple of years ago. But he certainly held his own to reach the quarterfinal of a slam for the second time in about 7 months. Is really a remarkable achievement for a teenager.
The age gap sort of was quite obvious in that second set tiebreak, because we saw some of the best of Nick, and then the concentration went a little bit. Obviously, a couple of brilliant topspin lobs there from Andy Murray. But I thought Andy's interview after, Craig, was really refreshingly honest. I thought Andy Murray really held himself quite well and was respectful of the crowd and respectful of Nick Kyrgios. And he was so candid. The fact he was so impressed with Nick Kyrgios, but he said he needs to get more intense and hinted that he needs to work a bit harder.
I think getting advice from Andy Murray is a good thing, and Nick should certainly listen to it. In fact, watching his post-match press conference as well, all the questions weren't about Andy and his performance, they're all about Nick. And rightfully so. He's in Australia, and we're pretty excited about having a young Australian, one of the youngest players in the world and one of the best, compete in the quarterfinals. But the advice Andy gave was great advice, and he's learned a lot himself, and that's why he's still in the draw and one of the favourites.
So no Aussies left now, and it's almost, we've been riding this emotional high for 10 days now. It's almost like you want to fast forward the year and hurry up and get to next year's Australian Open to see how we go. What will the year be for Nick Kyrgios? Where does he go from here, and what are your expectations? What would you like to see him do?
Well, I think he's working out what his schedule is going to be. A lot of it changes throughout the year depending on your health and where you are with your points. He's a top 20 player. I said that at the beginning of the year before this event, is that by the middle of the year you expect him to be inside the top 20. He's got lots of opportunity coming up. There are going to be a lot of tournament directors. They're going to want to have Nick Kyrgios in their tournaments, so he's going to have some opportunities. But he's going to need to stay healthy, stay grounded, and stay focused on becoming a better tennis player, because nothing performs better than the success you can have on the tennis court.
This is sort of the great test now, isn't it? When you walk away from the Australian summer, where you've got the crowds behind you, and all the players love playing, of course, at home, and now they've got to travel around the globe where they're playing in venues and environments where they haven't got that crowd support. They've got to find a way to lift themselves, get themselves up week in, week out, and the grind can get to some of them, but it's that ultimate test, how we sort of judge them when they're on the road.
Well, I think you go through a journey. I mean, I remember with Bernard Tomic, who who always did great in the arena, and then you put him out in court number 20, and the focus and the intensity just was not the same. But he's matured now as a player, and now that's not an issue. And you would hope Nick would not go through that. He's got to play as well out on court number 20 as he would in an arena with thousands of people supporting him. The experience he had on Hisense Arena, most athletes in their entire lives never experienced that. So he was fortunate to get that, and I think you shouldn't expect that every time, because it's not going to happen.
So day 9 claimed Nick Kyrgios and also Rafael Nadal in a surprise result. We're left with 6 in the men's draw, 6 elite. What are you thinking today with the schedule? Obviously we start with the women's quarterfinals, but then it's Nishikori against Wawrinka last up, not before 2 p.m. on Rod Laver Arena, and tonight Djokovic against the Canadian Milos Raonic.
Well, both fantastic matches. Nishikori this year has been unbelievable as far as the number of people around the world that watch him, more than actually anyone else. And the first round match I'd mentioned before, in Japan there were 10.5 million viewers watching just his first round match. So start to add those up, and he'll have an unbelievable base. But I think Stan is playing some very good tennis, and you would expect Stan to get through that, and then Novak playing this evening as well. Anyone who beats Novak in this event will probably be the person that wins it.
Well, he's the one to take, isn't he? Because then it really opens up with Federer and Nadal having gone. But Djokovic has been flawless. Fascinating day ahead. Thank you, Craig. Enjoy it.
No, thank you. And it's another sun shining again. We're very lucky with the weather.
You've been talking to those weather gods
again. It would be nice if we had that much control, but we don't. But it's just been a great event so far, and we're in for a strong finish and some great stories about to come. Potentially, the Williams sisters playing each other, and lots of opportunity for tennis.
I can't disagree with that. Craig Tiley joining us here at the desk, Tournament Director, CEO of Tennis Australia. Let's get out to Adrian Franklin. For the first time, he's champing at the bit because the fans are coming in. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, BP. Good morning, Cal. Good morning, Craig Tiley, who has joined us every single day of the Australian Open, every single morning. Thank you, Craig. We love hearing from you. Day 10, ladies and gentlemen. This is my favourite day. Now, I've said it a number of times throughout the tournament, but that's only because day 10 hasn't arrived. Day 10 is here, and I'm feeling good about it. All right, let's talk to some people as they arrive through the gates. Let's talk to these kids. Why not? Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good, thanks.
What's your name?
Jake.
And where have you travelled in from today?
Williamstown.
Williamstown. So that's not too far, is it? It's like 20 minutes that way, yeah? Who are you looking forward to seeing today play tennis out on court?
I'm not quite sure. I'd like to see a few different people play, so...
And brothers and sisters here? Whole group? Very good. Are you guys excited about the day today, yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. Will you go and enjoy yourselves? Thanks for being with us. From Williamstown, first up. Okay, let's try and find someone from a little bit further away, shall we? That's our test. All right. Come over here. Come over here. Hello. How are you?
Well, thank you.
That was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
Now, where have you travelled in from today?
Where have I come from? Chelsea.
Chelsea?
Yeah.
Okay. And you live in Chelsea?
No, we're down from Brisbane.
From Brisbane. So down from Brisbane for the Australian Open?
Yes.
And what's so special about this event, do you think? Why would you travel all the way from Brisbane?
On the bucket list.
On the bucket list?
Yes.
Is this first time or really? Yes. So the first time you've walked in?
No. We were here on Monday.
You were here on Monday, okay. It was the second time you've come. So the second time you came to the Australian Open, a guy with a camera and a microphone jumped in front of you. That's pretty exciting.
Oh, well.
And what's your name?
Ada.
Ada. All right, well, Ada, you have a great day. Enjoy the tennis. Thanks for being with us. All right, Ada from Brisbane. Okay, let's do one more. Oh, the crowd slowed down a little bit. That's all right. Let's go. Yep, we've got one. Wait for it. Hello. How are you? Can you come and say hello? Hello. She said hello, but she didn't really want to have a chat. That's fine. One more. Last one over here. Hello. How are you? Come in here. You've just walked in. Now, where have you travelled in from today?
I'm staying in the city,
Yep.
but I come from New South Wales South Coast, Bomaderry.
Bomaderry. Now, can you tell, that's the most interesting response we've had so far. So can you tell us something about Bomaderry? What's so great about Bomaderry?
Oh, actually where I live, there's everything there for me. There's some shops and trains and buses and yeah, it's about 160 kilometres south of Sydney.
And how many people live in Bomaderry?
Thousands.
Thousands. 23,000.
Nowra, Bomaderry. Nowra's, most people would relate to Nowra. It's the main town. Bomaderry's like a suburb of Nowra.
Right. And what are you most looking forward to about the Australian Open today? Coming in, you've just walked in. What's the highlight?
And it was fantastic, everything about it, and the players and the games, and doing the same thing again today, here all day.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy. The ladies from Bomaderry, 23,000. Oh, that's all right. There you go. So we had Chelsea, Brisbane, something, Williamstown, Bomaderry. That was my favourite, guys. So if you've got a story, tap me on the shoulder. You get up on the big screens.
Indeed. Thank you, Adrian. Out there with the fans.
Yes.
It's all about the fans.
And I love that answer from Ada, that it's on the bucket list, isn't it? For many, many sports fans right around Australia. We've seen them from New Zealand and America as well. So keep on rolling through day 10 here at the Aussie Open.
Indeed. Enjoy the day, everyone. Get around and take in the whole precinct. You've got Grand Slam Oval, you've got Garden Square here, all the outside courts. The juniors are in action, the doubles. Some of the best names of all time are just out behind us on the show courts.
And come and say hi to us if you want, or check out the Social Shack. We're just on the edge here of Garden Square, and you can have your photo or a selfie taken just behind us on the hashtag #OzOpen site. And we had Rod Laver here yesterday.
Yes.
We've got another legend here today.
Ken Rosewell, if you don't mind, just behind us at the Australian Tennis Magazine booth. He's going to be there, folks, at 11 o'clock. The great Ken Rosewell.
So you can get along, get a photo, get an autograph.
Have a chat.
I haven't met Ken, but I've heard he's one of the all-time greats.
Yep. I'll tell you what, his hair is superb. No one ruffles the hair of Ken Rosewell. It's slick. And he will be out there at 11 o'clock, Australian Tennis Magazine booth, just at the back end of Garden Square here. Back with more on The Morning Show. Enjoy the tennis, everyone. We're just getting started.
The Kia Cerato has surprised many of Australia's leading journalists since its launch. Paul Gover from Cars Guide said the Cerato hatch is the new Kia we've been waiting for and another surefire winner. And Tim Weissman from caradvice.com.au said the all-new Cerato is packed with the latest technology. The Kia Cerato hatch. It surprised the motoring experts. And with Australia's only 7-year unlimited kilometre factory warranty, it will surprise you too.
Join the rally for good. The more people we get involved, the more money we raise for a good cause. Ready? Keep the rally going by posting your shot your way using hashtag #RallyForGood. Your game, your way.
We are all made by something. People, places, and passions help shape us into who we are.
The biggest fight I had in my life was actually the fight within.
Novak Djokovic, birthed from Serbia, shaped by Yelena, inspired by dreams, made by determination. Jacobs Creek, made true.
Why this watch? This watch has witnessed the magic of Melbourne, the promise of a new season and a Grand Slam's most ardent fans. It's seen a national hero become a legend. The epic endured. And a 4-time champion crowned. It doesn't just tell time, it tells history.
Optus called me up and they said, hey, would you like to be in a commercial that talks about the word yes? They said it's about how we're going to be saying a lot more of it. Can I come up with some stuff? And they said yes. And I said I want it on a tropical beach. And they said yes. Gigantic kitten. I want to dance with some beautiful people. And they said yes. Let's shoot it in Antarctica. And they said yes. Fireworks, skydiving Elizabethans, a muffin. And I said what? All of this in the one earth? And they said yes.
Pure feel good.
Well, I'm catching up with Mark Philippoussis about our Australian Open Big Mac Legends tournament. And Mark, great to have you back in Australia. It's been some time since we've seen you.
It has. It's been a long time. Thanks, Todd. It's incredible to be here, especially with a family. It just feels so good walking on these grounds where I literally started training here when it first opened up. And I think I was 13, 14 years old. So.
The Legends, how does that sit with you being called a legend?
It's, I'm not sure if I'll be called, should be called a legend, but I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. But, it's just been a hell of a lot of fun to be involved with the guys that I had known when I first got on tour and I know really well. And it's great to get to know them kind of on the other side of a more relaxed side.
How do you feel you're going to go in the Australian Open Legends?
Last time I played with Henry LeConte, and this year I'm playing with Henry LeConte again.
And you beat the Woodies, and you're not allowed to do that at this time.
Yeah. I was wondering. I knew we walked on the court, wondering, what's going to happen here because it's the Woodies, especially Australia. So the guy's crazy, and he hits the ball so well. Look, my goal is to go out there and just enjoy my time back on the courts in Melbourne. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. And when you've got Henry as your partner, let him do his crazy thing, and then I just got to hit some balls in.
It's from Pat, and he says, who was your toughest opponent out on tour?
Men's tennis has such great depth. Every match is incredibly tough. But a couple of guys that stick out for me, one was Marcelo Rios. I think the fact that he was a lefty, he had an incredible slide serve out there, but he took the ball so early and just made you move, and his returns were incredible. And Andre Agassi, because of the way he hit the ball, because of his returns.
Yeah,
I just felt...
I'm with you with Agassi.
Yeah.
I couldn't win games off him.
Yeah, I just felt like there were times where even if I was serving 80%, 85% of first serves, if he was at his swing...
Yeah.
Yeah, still, that's at
least you could at least you could blow him away with your serve.
If I got it away from him, but that's the thing.
My cream puff used to get belted.
He was, an incredible striker of the ball. Definitely one of the best of all time.
Second one from Pat was, when did you start playing and who was the greatest influence on your tennis career?
I started playing at the age of 6 years old with my dad. The greatest influence for me, I think, as an all-round game, I kind of looked at Boris Becker because he had that all-round power game. He served and volleyed, had a huge serve, but he also stayed in a baseline and would be comfortable rallying, but he'd be hitting big. So that's kind of the all-round that I focused on.
I remember vividly the one match that, for me, set your career on fire. It was on Rod Laver Arena, and it was against Pete Sampras. What memories have you got of that day?
I just vividly remember how I felt. I remember walking behind him in the corridor, and he was in front of me. I'm like, Mark, I just said you've got nothing to lose here. Go out there and just hit hard, and just hit him off the court. You've got nothing to lose. No one expects me to win. I'm a 19-year-old kid playing at home. My family, my friends are watching, playing against the number one player in the world. It was a win-win situation for me.
What was the moment like with the victory at that match point, but then the aftermath of the victory?
I remember just I did a second serve volley, and then on his backhand he missed it, and it was just like, yes, I did it. And I remember I was just like, okay, don't even think it's over. And then when he just said game, set, and match, and I saw that backhand hit the net, I'm like, okay, it's over now. You did it. So that felt incredible. Turning around in my box, the energy that I got from the public that during the whole night and support was unbelievable. I hope they realized that how important that was for me and what it did for me, and it definitely got me through the line. I know for a fact that mentally, I think as a person or who I was as a kid, I wasn't ready for at that stage. You got known from a guy who has a game where he could have a future and he's dangerous to someone who just beat number one in the world. It's like, okay, is he the next thing, or he's here, he's arrived. I think I wasn't ready for arrived yet, looking back now, but a lot was going on.
Well, the legends are a big part of the 2015 Australian Open. It is good to have Mark Philippoussis back in Australia. He's got a young bub now. He's married, looks fit and healthy. He's going to be out on show court too if you've got a Grand Pass, Kel. 11 o'clock, teaming up with Henri Leconte up against Jonas Bjorkman and Thomas Johansson.
Former world number 8, and just having a look at that takes you back those memories. Of course, made the Wimbledon final, lost to Pete Sampras, made that US Open final against Pat Rafter all those years ago, where Australians were torn as to who to follow and who to barrack for, but very successful career. And he was in the coach's box of Nick Kyrgios last night, so maybe forming some sort of friendship, and maybe the Scud will mentor him over the next few years.
When you look at his numbers, he actually won 11 ATP Tour titles. You talk about the 2 Grand Slam finals, those couple of great Davis Cup triumphs. The one in France, though, sticks in my mind. I mean, on away soil, when you got that raucous crowd against you, and he basically, carried the Australian team on his back.
Yeah, he won it off his own racket, didn't he? And it was the 2 Davis Cup wins, wasn't it? He got 2 to his name, so... You did, and then now you look at this new generation and Kyrgios and Thanasi Kokkinakis and Bernard Tomic, and eventually, obviously, we expect Leighton Hewitt will take over Pat Rafter in that Davis Cup captain role, and suddenly you think, I wonder if they could just repeat the performances that we saw all those years ago with Scud.
Well, we're building a stock, so every chance, I think, in the next few years. Talk about the men. The match today, Stan Wawrinka and Kei Nishikori. I mean, this is set to be a classic. This potentially has got 5 sets written all over it. They played a 5-setter quarter-final of the US Open only going back a few months ago. Stan is the defending champion here. He's had some tough games. He's been taken to tiebreakers a hell of a lot. I mean, Guillermo Garcia Lopez almost took it to a 5th against Stan out on Margaret Court Arena a couple of days ago.
He should have won it in straight sets, really, this one, shouldn't he have? So.
And Nishikori's coming off that game against Ferrer where he was super impressive, 3-3-3. And look, how do you match these two up? Because they're both thereabouts. Stan breaking through last year, obviously, to win a major. Kei making a final. And now they go head to head.
Well, Stan sort of had that year where he had the bookends, didn't he? The highs, the highlight, and his career moment was breaking through here 12 months ago to win that Australian Open final against Rafael Nadal. Then he went out in the first round, I think, at the French and struggled a bit during the mid-season, and it took him a while to deal with the expectation and the sudden glare on him and the interest in him. And I imagine back home in Switzerland, suddenly it wasn't all about Roger Federer. But then he finished the year on such a high, because if it wasn't for Stan at the Davis Cup, I don't think Roger Federer would have a Davis Cup title to his name, and he did that so well. He was the reason why Switzerland won that Davis Cup. We see him in action here in his last match. And yet, I mean, we use this term so much over the last 10 days, fly under the radar, but there's been quite a few of the big name men's players we haven't heard too much about or we haven't read about, and that's because of Nick Kyrgios. He's stolen the spotlight, so we didn't hear too much of Rafa. We haven't heard, too much of Novak Djokovic, and Stan's just moved quietly through the draw. So this will be the first time that the spotlight is well and truly on him in this quarter-final matchup against Kei Nishikori. And Nishikori, a bit like Serena Williams, has been scratchy at times, and they've had that trend of dropping the first set. I think Nishikori's done it 2, maybe 3 times in this tournament so far. But he really stepped it up a notch against David Ferrer in this match out on Rod Laver Arena. And he certainly showed the man who usually relies on the wheels and the speed, he sort of out-Ferrered Ferrer, didn't he?
No, well said. And look, he'll get on his bike. He's superbly fit, Nishikori. Everyone talks about the power, particularly off that backhand wing for Stan Wawrinka, devastating that single-handed backhand. But Nishikori also, up either wing, has got superb finishing shots. Not just, rallying and content to maybe let his opponent make the error. I mean, Kei Nishikori will force the issue in his matches and can come up with some great winners of his own. So he's not just a sort of a counter-puncher. Obviously not the tallest guy on the tour. Took out Djokovic, though, on the way to making that final of the US Open last year. He's got a lot of weapons, Kei Nishikori.
He's exciting. I love watching him play. It is like Michael Chang from all those years ago. Of course, the youngest ever man to win a Grand Slam when he was 17, won the French Open back in '89. But Nishikori's got Michael Chang in his coach's box, and he really is a fascinating man to watch play tennis. And we heard those stats before about how big and popular he is back in his homeland, Japan, because Craig Tiley told us in his first match here, Kei Nishikori, 10 million people were watching him in Japan, and that is more than the cumulative audience that will happen here in Australia over the 14 days of the Grand Slam, and that is just getting bigger. So there are going to be millions and millions in Japan watching this quarter-final here today.
Yeah, it's coming up, third match in the day here on Rod Laver Arena. Should be a beauty. Strap yourself in. We saw Thomas Berdych upset Rafael Nadal yesterday. The draw is certainly open for one of these two to progress further, and who knows, in Stan's case, maybe defend his title here. Kei Nishikori looking for the breakthrough. So many chasing down the so-called Big Four, and it's become sort of the big one at the moment with Novak Djokovic still left. And Andy Murray, of course, slipping back to number 6, but you would think by year's end he's going to climb back into that top 4. That to look forward to. Kel, the social show, we love it. Just taking a lighter side look at the sport of tennis. Let's take a look right now.
Hello and welcome to the Australian Open Social Show. I'm Michael Teixeira and joining me is Nick Minster.
Thanks, Harry Potter. Well, if you enjoyed the artistic stylings of Andy and Grigor, have we got a surprise for you?
I think the thumbnail probably gave that away.
You have a whiteboard, you have a pen. We want you to draw this man.
Oh my god. Okay.
Art was never my strong point at school.
Oh no. This is gonna be terrible.
So just the guy?
Just the guy.
Oh, I'm gonna make it all to scale.
He has a weird... He doesn't have much hair, huh?
What do you think?
I'm really focusing. Okay, guys.
Oh, golly.
This is really hard. Okay, I'll draw the racket after.
Well, I've kind of gone away from what I wanted to do now.
Just so you know, we're going to keep this and give it away to a fan.
Oh, poor guy. Or girl.
Oh wow. Okay.
If I don't do well, my mom is gonna be so frustrated with me.
Okay, this is actually not so bad.
Gotta fill in the racket.
Okay.
Okay, are you guys ready for this? Because this is fantastic.
The big reveal.
Ta-da!
That's good.
Finally, the sensational Margaret Court Arena was launched the other day, with past champions, including Margaret Court herself, in attendance.
And through a clerical error, the Social Show was bestowed the honour of opening the multi-million-dollar roof.
Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Australia Day 2015.
Pick up.
Hello.
Are you forgetting something?
Nah.
Oh, just a small matter of opening the Margaret Court Arena roof this morning.
Margaret can be supported here by...
Okay, speed status. It's just like a tram.
Margaret won 24 singles Grand Slam titles.
You found that guy on Facebook. This is not beyond your skill set.
It's a beautiful arena.
That's still not okay. What about the same door? About time. Where's the key? What?
Why this watch? This watch is an icon of impossible achievement, grace under pressure, battles endured, champions crowned, and records broken.
Absolutely unique person in the history of the game.
It doesn't just tell time, it tells history.
On court with the world's best tennis players? Well, here's your chance to be an official. Applications are now open for the Australian Open and the Emirates Australian Open Series, including Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide and Hobart. It's your chance to kickstart your tennis career. Visit tennis.com.au/officials now to find out more.
Venus beating Agnieszka Radwanska in the way that you did tonight was a truly inspired performance. What was the inspiration for it?
Yeah, it's so recent. I'm still trying to figure out what happened. It feels really good in the third set to be able to just increase the lead and keep that on your racket. So I'm definitely still enjoying that win, and we've had some tough matches in the past, and today was tough as well, and it feels good to get through.
It's been a while since we've seen you in the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam. For you, have you felt like this has been coming for a while and you've just been waiting for the stars to align?
I know, stars to align so Venus can come through, right? All of that good stuff, but I've always played really tough in the majors, and some of the matches that I lost the last few years, they were really on the brink of winning. So at some point, I was thinking and hoping, okay, I'm going to convert some of those matches, and it's all worked out this year.
And next up, you've got Madison Keys. I know you're a big fan of hers, and you and your sister Serena were her inspirations to pick up a tennis racket in the first place. But it's great to see two American women contesting a quarterfinal for one thing. I guess you're going to be hoping you can end her run.
Oh, yeah. I've enjoyed her game, and we've played only once, so we haven't had even a chance to play against each other. And I know she's in really good form and just a wonderful, nice girl and an unbelievable competitor. So it's going to be a really good competition in the next round.
Well, many congratulations, and we'll let you go and enjoy what's left of Australia Day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We are certainly enjoying the ride of Venus Williams. It's been a great feel-good story of the tournament, Kel. 34th Grand Slam quarterfinal. Hasn't won a major since Wimbledon 2008. It's a great resurgence. It'll be the fairy tale story if she can get through and win another title, her 8th major at 34. There's a few hurdles to climb, but we're loving the Venus Williams journey.
There is, and that's the perfect way to describe it. It is the feel-good story of the women's draw so far, and our good friend Ben Rothenberg from the New York Times had a terrific stat from yesterday against Venus and Madison Keys. 15 years difference. Venus has played Keys coach Lindsay Davenport more times than anyone else on tour. They played 27 times, Venus winning 13 of them and 14 losses. Isn't that remarkable? Now she's playing the protege in a quarterfinal here at the Aussie Open.
Yeah, 20 years on the tour for Venus. And look, she looks fresh, she looks really relaxed. She's playing very good tennis, and going to be a great battle. Fascinating to see how that one unfolds. A young buck taking on the star, the 7-time Grand Slam champion. That all to come on quarterfinal day. Let's get back out to Adrian Franklin.
BP, it was Mats Wilander, the great Australian Open champion, the great Swedish player, who said that for a fan, the Australian Open is easily the best Grand Slam experience. And even though we're at day 10 and it's a little bit quieter out on the outside courts, there's still plenty to do. The juniors will be on the outside courts, the wheelchair players will be out there as well. There'll be live music down on Grand Slam Oval. So while there aren't as many people here on day 10, it means you've got more space to roam around and enjoy what's taking place at Australian Open 2015. And right behind me here are the practice courts. So we're up on the Fly Emirates viewing deck, and we've got some practice times coming up over the next few hours, and that is what you need to check out, because you can literally get within metres of the best players in the world. And I've got some of the times in my hand now. So the main practice courts are 16, 17 and 18. That's where all the big name players will be. Serena Williams has already been out on court 16. She was only out there for about half an hour and then she escaped. She's obviously playing today against Dominika Cibulkova in the quarterfinals. But Maria Sharapova, who won here yesterday against Eugenie Bouchard, she's playing out on court 16 this morning at 11 o'clock. So from 11 to 12:30, Maria Sharapova will be practicing. So get out there. She's taking on Ekaterina Makarova in the semi-finals. Also on court 16, we'll have Novak Djokovic, and he'll be out there between 4 and 5:30. So he's on Rod Laver Arena tonight against Milos Raonic. So that's Maria Sharapova at 11 o'clock on court 16, Novak Djokovic, he's on at 4 o'clock. And then Venus Williams will also be out there, and Stan Wawrinka will also be out there along with Kei Nishikori. So they're playing each other. Kei Nishikori, he was the US Open finalist last year. Stan Wawrinka, the Australian Open finalist, or the Australian Open champion here last year. They'll be playing against each other and they'll be out on the practice court. So check out the live schedule. There are updates all throughout the day letting you know who's playing where and at what time. Don't miss out on that, guys, because you've got plenty of space to move, plenty of great champions to watch on the practice courts as well.
Terrific stuff. Thank you, Adrian Franklin. Out and about, if you're just making your way through the gates, welcome everyone to Melbourne Park on this day 10 as we continue quarter-final action. And just a reminder, if you want to see one of the absolute legends, Kelly, of Australian tennis, Ken Rosewell, he's going to be just behind us here. We're at the Social Shack studio, just at the back end of Garden Square. Just behind us is the Australian Tennis Magazine booth, and Ken, at the ripe old age of 80, still looking in magnificent nick. He was courtside last night. He'll be there from 11 o'clock, so you can go and meet the great Ken Rosewell.
Amazing to think he's 80. He looks fantastic. He still looks fit. He'd probably still hit a tennis ball, and boy, could he hit a tennis ball. The 8 Grand Slam titles, former world number 2. A legend. We had Rod Laver there yesterday, and now Ken Rosewell today. It's one of the best bits that I've enjoyed over the last 10 days. The tennis legends walking around the precinct, and they're so easily accessible, and to be able to get up, meet them, handshake, autograph, photo, selfie, whatever you like. One of the highlights of the Aussie Open.
No doubt. Disney at the Australian Open too, Kel. If you've got the kids, if you've got the Grand Pass, you can duck across to Hisense Arena. This is Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Disney at the Australian Open. So the Grand Pass, duck across there. You'll see all the start times. It's going to be magnificent. All the Disney characters. Bring in the kids and enjoy Disney at the Australian Open.
Last weekend of school holidays, I think. So
Indeed. Go
out with a bang before school starts next week.
Well, if you missed all the action yesterday, let's rewind as quarter-final action got underway here at Melbourne Park.
The earlier elimination of Rafael Nadal by Thomas Berdych was still making ripples around Melbourne Park as men's quarterfinals action continued on night 9 of the Australian Open. With only one singles match scheduled for the night, Rod Laver Arena was full to the brim for the second men's quarterfinal between Andy Murray and Nick Kyrgios. The British 6th seed had never lost to an Australian in 10 outings, while Kyrgios was bidding to become the lowest ranked player to defeat Murray at a Grand Slam in the past decade. Murray was tested on his opening service game, but in doing so he was also testing the capabilities of the Aussie, who in the early stages kept up. But a break of serve felt imminent, and it eventually came, as Murray dealt his young opponent an early warning sign, winning the first set 6-3. While the Scotsman's first serve was almost unbeatable in the second set, the more confident Kyrgios began to introduce some more audacious shots into his game. With both players holding all serves, it went to a tiebreaker, and after a number of exchanges of the break, it was Murray who prevailed. Kyrgios was again brave in the third, but the 6th seed seemed to have answers for everything. He broke the Aussie in the 6th game, was immediately broken back, but then regained the upper hand with another magnificent break in the 8th. Murray ramped up his level of brilliance as he served out the match in straight sets. The world number 6 winning through to his 15th Grand Slam semi-final, where he'll face Tomas Berdych. The feature match was followed by mixed doubles second round action featuring 3 Australians. Chris Guccione teaming up with Slovenia's Andrea Klepac and the all-Aussie pairing of Casey Dell'Acqua and John Peers. The big serving Guccione and Klepac were superb on serve early and managed to break their opponents in the 8th game before consolidating to claim the first set 6-3. The second set was a mirror image, but when the break of serve eventually came, it went the way of Dell'Acqua and Peers, and this time they served out the set. It made for an exciting tie-break set in which Dell'Acqua and Peers snatched the early break before storming to 9-2, and after a bit of a hiccup, served it out 10-5 to book their spot in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, some great action from the quarter-final day, and it was nice for Casey Dell'Acqua from an Australian point of view to still be alive in the mixed doubles last night. The weather today, Cal, superb.
Absolutely, a maximum of 23 and it's currently 20 degrees. You can see blue sky everywhere you look here in Melbourne. We've had just the one hot day and the one cold day, but consistently perfect weather for this Grand Slam event.
Absolutely. Well, the US still very strong. They are featuring heavily today on the women's side of the draw. We thought we'd get Ben Rothenberg from the New York Times back because the Williams sisters and a young girl called Madison Keys. It's an interesting mix today. Ben, welcome to you, and a big day covering all the action and plenty of interest back home.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big, big day. I think this is pretty much a dream scenario for a lot of Americans to still have both Williams sisters, who obviously have carried the sport for so long in our country, and then Madison Keys, who's been seen as the future. And to have two of them playing each other, possible sort of torch-passing generational moment between Venus and Madison is something a lot of people would have been very happy with. If you just told us one of them would make the semis, that'd be great. And now that's going to happen.
And as the feature tennis writer for the New York Times, there's storylines everywhere you look between Venus and Madison Keys. What stands out for you? What do you like about their history together, and what will happen out on the court today?
I think the one that's going to get told most today is about how Madison was inspired to start playing tennis because of a dress she saw Venus wearing. And her parents say, well, if you want the dress, you have to start playing tennis. And she agreed to that deal for some reason, and here she is today, and just carried her all this way.
Yeah. What's going to happen tactically in this match? Match them both up for us, and what your tip is for this one.
Well, I think tactically it's going to be interesting to see how Lindsay Davenport plays a role, because she's Madison Keys' coach now. She played Venus more than anybody, beat her 14 times. So she knows what works against Venus, and she used to go hard up the middle, a lot of returns, and sort of take the angles away from Venus. It'll be interesting to see early on if Madison does that same thing, driving returns right up the middle, pushing Venus back a little bit. But she certainly has the power.
No doubt. And a bit like Nick Kyrgios from our side, who seems to love the pressure, love the stage. And I noticed that when I watched Madison play Petra Kvitova. And that was obviously a big breakthrough to get to this stage. She looked like she belonged there, and she doesn't seem to be overawed at all.
She's comfortable. She's not a Kyrgios. I'm not going to expect any crowd pumping up or tweeners during this match whatsoever from her. I mean, she doesn't go out of her way to get people entertained, but she definitely doesn't seem daunted by the occasion either.
And I think, am I right in saying she did say this is my last Grand Slam as a teenager, which is what Nick has said as well. So it's almost like this motivation of I'm young, I'm brash, fearless, nothing to lose before I hit, the ripe old age of 20, and it all becomes a little bit serious.
Apparently Madison's mother was telling her that and sending her little pictures of grandma emoticons saying, you're getting old now, this is your last chance as a teenager.
Give us an insight into her personality. What is she like? We just heard Venus Williams before talk about her, and it sounds like there's a lot of respect from the Williams sisters towards this young star.
Oh, for sure. I mean, she's very, very popular in the locker room with the other Americans. She's very sweet, very friendly, sort of a goofy sense of humor. I've never heard of her having any sort of disagreement or feud with anybody, which is pretty remarkable given how competitive and catty, I guess, the tennis circuit can be sometimes with everybody.
It's not like what we saw yesterday with Maria and Jeannie. That just felt tense. And of course the other one, Serena Williams and Dominika Sibylkova, a finalist here last year. We could get the dream scenario of an all-Williams semi-final, and then we could get Serena playing Maria Sharapova, the world number 1 and the world number 2. Still a long way to go though. What are your thoughts on what will unfold over the next 2 or 3 days?
Those are all tantalizing prospects. I mean, on paper especially, I mean, the Williams sister matches have always been a little bit bumpy in terms of quality, although their last one they played in Montreal last year was actually pretty good. And so hopefully they'll be able to bring that again. And then if it were a Serena-Maria final, obviously Maria hasn't beaten her in a decade. So it's overdue. Maybe she'll get a good match in here. But yeah, for now it's unclear what will happen. She has to get past Cibulkova first. She's had a really tough draw here and played incredibly well against Azarenka.
Ben, the Williams sisters' story will be written, certainly in the future, and I think there'll be a lot that might come out that we don't know when the full story is written about their great journey and their rise from hard times to become stars of the tennis circuit. Venus arrives early and wins the slam. Serena sort of takes over the mantle, and Venus sort of goes off the radar, if you like, for the last 6 or 7 years. Do you think that was burning away at Venus, that she didn't want her career just sort of to peter out, that she wanted to come back and try and replicate what she did in the early 2000s up until about 2008 when she won her last Wimbledon title?
Well, I certainly think a lot of people are surprised she's still playing in 2015 at age 34 now. I mean, and especially with how relatively for her standards mediocre her results have been since 2010, let's say, when she first had her illness and injury problems that really sidetracked her. But she's always had the belief and confidence, and what isn't satisfied, she says, by making quarterfinals, because she has won big so often in her career. She wants to keep being out there, keep contending for titles, and she's certainly put herself in the mix here, and it bodes well for the rest of the year as well.
We know that there's been sort of the long layoff with the illness and the injury. Can you give us an insight into exactly what she has battled and how difficult how low did she get?
She had a sort of an abdominal muscle injury here in early 2011 that took her out for part of that year, and then after that she was diagnosed with something called Sjogren's syndrome, which is an autoimmune disorder which really results in joint pain and sort of a general fatigue, constantly and unpredictable, and she's gotten better at managing symptoms of that. There's no cure for it per se. It's just a matter of trying to get her to be energetic at the right times instead of the wrong times. And she's had some matches where she's come out the last few years and been completely flat and hasn't really been able to summon any energy at all. It's been tough to watch sometimes.
And just give us a feel back home, just the interest in what's going to unfold today.
No, I think the Madison and Venus confluence of things coming together is going to be pretty cool. And this match at 11 a.m. here is 7 p.m. in the US, so that's in the East Coast, so it's prime time.
Yeah.
Great for them, and then after that, Serena. So it's a pretty nice doubleheader for us for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ben, for stopping by. Enjoy the day.
Thanks for having me.
Ben Rothenberg. Following the fortunes of the American players, 3 in action on quarterfinal day today. Back with more in just a moment as we build up to all the action.
Why this watch? This watch is an icon of impossible achievement, grace under pressure, battles endured, champions crowned, and records broken.
Absolutely unique person in the history of the game.
It doesn't just tell time, it tells history.
On court with the world's best tennis players? Well, here's your chance to be an official. Applications are now open for the Australian Open and the Emirates Australian Open Series, including Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide and Hobart. It's your chance to kickstart your tennis career. Visit tennis.com.au/officials now to find out more.
It's a different kind of player, you know. I don't have a big serve, obviously, but working on it all the time, and I don't think it's something that I have weakness there anymore. But yeah, I have to compensate my height with something, so I just put a lot of energy in my tennis. You know, I go for my winners, and I'm just not like a typical small player that I'm just defensive. You know, I'm going for it, and that's my tennis about.
She is a really good player. I mean, to be her size, she hits so hard and she plays so well, and she's just such a compact, great player. So I just have to stay focused and not underestimate her, and realize that she actually almost beat me before, so I want to make sure that I come ready and prepared.
I don't know. It's just energy that I have, and yeah, that's how I like to play tennis. That's how I like to be on the court. You know, aggressive and fight for every ball, and that's how I am.
He's a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist. So when I'm not where I need to be, he is there, and he's like, you know, you have to be better. There's no other option but to be better. He's brought a lot of consistency to my game, and a lot of motivation, and you know, and a lot of strategy. I go into a match knowing exactly what to expect, what to do, and it makes my life a lot easier.
Well, we're getting to the business end, and quarter-final day to continue today, of course, and to tell us officially what is on the schedule today. The Voice joins us here on AOTV, Mr. Craig Willis. Good morning.
Good morning, Brett. Good morning, Kelly. It's day 10 of the Australian Open Championship, brought to you by Kia in association with ANZ, Rolex and Jacobs Creek. And another great day for tennis action on RLA. 2 women's quarter-final matches. The exciting young American, Madison Keys, coming up against the 18th seed, Venus Williams. Then Serena Williams meets last year's finalist, Dominika Cibulkova of Slovakia. And of course then we've got men's singles action. The defending champion Stan Wawrinka up against the 5th seed Kei Nishikori of Japan. Of course, all matches are stake in the semi-finals here at the Australian Open Championship. On Margaret Court Arena, where your ground pass will admit you today, 2 doubles matches in the men's and women's draw. And on the show courts today, there's plenty happening with men's, women's and mixed doubles. And the Australian Open Junior Tournament continues with future stars of world tennis displaying their outstanding skills. As we've been hearing, a cooler day, an outstanding day for tennis, but be sun smart when that sun does come out. Get closer to the action at the Australian Open on day 10 of the championship. How was I? Was it good? Was that okay?
Very good.
Oh,
10 out of 10.
Was that live?
Oh, that was live. Welcome. You guys have done a great job. It is day 10. We're on the home stretch, and by gee, we've got some great tennis coming up.
We've got some rippers, and
Looking
you're on
forward
Rod Laver Arena all day.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome to just practice?
Which one's taking your fancy? Which one do you like?
Well, I just love watching Venus play.
Yeah.
She's lost
Great
nothing of the great skills and everything, and you know, for her to go through to a semi and the chance of meeting with Serena, it's got magic written all over it, hasn't it? Oh, it's just going to be. But don't write off Dominika Cibulkova and Madison Keys, an outstanding touch. And that's what we expect at this time of the tournament.
Exactly.
Looking forward to it.
Fired up. Craig Willis will be ready to go on RLA in just a few moments. Let's hear from Nick Kyrgios after he bowed out of the Australian Open last night.
Tough night. How did you see it?
Yeah, it was a really good experience. That was my first Aussie Open Grand Slam match where I played Rod Laver, so that was really cool. But you know, he was way too good for me tonight. There's heaps of things I can take from that match that I got to go get better at, and yeah, he was just way too good for me.
How do you like his chances?
Yeah, really good. I said to him at the net, you know, this is your time, you know, go get him, and I think he's got a really good chance of winning the whole thing.
What did he say to you, Nick?
He said great tournament, and you know, good luck for the rest of the year. You know, I think we've got a pretty good relationship. Obviously, we've talked a bit on Twitter, but I think, you know, he's a guy that, you know, has always been supporting me. So.
Nick, you said there were heaps of things that you could improve on. What specifically do you think they are?
I mean, I was hurting out there, so physicality is a big one. You know, mentality, I thought I had a couple dips, you know, out there, so I need to stay consistent. But just in general, you know, forehand return, I didn't think I was getting on his serves tonight. You know, I thought he served really well, a lot of variety, and obviously just getting fitter. I thought, you know, if I get that second set, it's a totally different match. But you know, he won the second set, and he was too good.
And you also, it sounded like you said something about your back being cooked midway through the third set. Is that right?
Yep.
So given that, how proud are you of how far you've come in this tournament?
Yeah, really proud actually. You know, 2 weeks ago I wasn't even sure I'll be playing the event. You know, it's just been a massive couple of weeks just trying to get fit. So you know, I'm actually really happy. You know, obviously I wanted to win tonight, but in saying that, it's been an emotional couple of weeks. So I'm just happy that you know I was able to compete, and obviously quarterfinals isn't too bad either.
Nick, what's next for you in terms of tournaments and preparation?
Well, I'll go back home and obviously get the back right to just obviously rehab it until it's not giving me strife anymore. But then, you know, I scheduled in Marseille, Dubai, and then you know we'll see after that.
Do you remember the 10 days or so?
Jeez, it's just been a roller coaster the last couple of days. You know, not getting much sleep, obviously. But it's been a lot of fun, but at the same, it's been pretty stressful. But you know, I've enjoyed it, and that's, you know, I'm just happy that, you know, I've got as far as I did.
How are you going to look back at this week?
Sorry?
How are you going to look back at this fortnight?
Really good experience. I mean, quarterfinals of Australian Open, my second time around. Obviously, that match against Seppi is one of my favourite matches I've ever played. So there's a lot of great experience I can draw on when I come here next year.
We were all worried when your racket broke in the tie break that you might get a point penalty for that.
Oh, yeah, I was worried. Tried to play it down. I was like, how did it even break? But, you know, I'm sure he was thinking it too.
And you said, sorry.
Go on.
You sort of urged the crowd to not put too much pressure on you too soon. Have you felt a lot of pressure?
Well, yeah, but, you know, I thought I dealt with it really well this week. You know, it's another Grand Slam. I just enjoyed it, and that's why I play the game, to play these type of tournaments. So, yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, well said last night. Good to listen to Nick Kyrgios there, reflecting on the last fortnight. Big year ahead. He's just starting his journey at 19 years of age. A lot to play at, Kel, but look, he certainly had a little chance, a little door open possibly in that second set. Couldn't quite take the tiebreaker, and then Murray won in 3. But what a fortnight. As he said at one stage, he didn't think he was going to play the Australian Open.
And understandable that physically it got to him a bit last night. He played the 2 5-setters in there already. And I mean, you only have to rewind 12 months ago. He played a 5-setter and he was cramping. So he looked bigger and physically more fitter here this year. But imagine what he's going to look like in 12 months' time. You know, another 12 months in the gym, working on the body, working on the strength.
Yep.
And the future, anything's possible. But it has been pointed out publicly that he does have areas to work on. And that's what I really liked about Andy Murray. He was so candid in that post-match interview, saying he should be more intense at times. And I've also heard Goran Ivanisevic say over the last couple of weeks he needs to work harder.
Yep.
So if Nick's going to listen to players like that, isn't he? And hopefully he takes that on board, and it's just going to be a super exciting ride watching his next 12 months.
Well, in a sport like tennis, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you haven't got the work ethic to match,
That's it.
you're going to fall short. So, big journey ahead. We're going to follow it with great interest, as we're going to follow Kei Nishikori today. The amount of Japanese fans that are here, Wow TV sending pictures back to Japan. The viewers back there, you talked about 10 million tuning into Kei's first match, but there's plenty of fans here at Melbourne Park, and Adrian Franklin's got a few of those with him.
So today on Rod Laver Arena, Kei Nishikori from Japan, the absolute superstar, takes on Stan the Man Wawrinka. If he moves through, he'll reach the semi-finals for the first time since 1932. No Japanese player has done it since 1932. He's changed his game. Last year, he reached the final of the US Open. He's now number 5 in the world, and there are fans around Melbourne Park that are losing their minds over this man. He's a superstar back in Japan, and we couldn't help but get 4 of the biggest Japanese supporters here. Hello guys, look at that. Absolutely awesome. So guys, the Japanese fans, they are the most fun. They absolutely love tennis. They don't speak a huge amount of English, these guys, but I know a little bit of Japanese, so here we go. Ganbae Nishikori. Ganbae Nishikori. So there you go, guys. Kei Nishikori, he's third up on Rod Laver Arena, and we hope he can win. Kei Nishikori!
Join the rally for good. The more people we get involved, the more money we raise for a good cause. Ready? Keep the rally going by posting your shot your way using hashtag #RallyForGood. Your game, your way.
My shirt tails flying all over the place and the sweat rubbing out on my head. She said, hey, bossa nova, baby, keep on working for the same no time to quit. She said, go, bossa nova, baby, keep on dancing. I'm about to have myself a fit.
Hey, babe, don't forget the milk.
Ooh, baby, baby. Here and we're in effect. Want you to push it back. Cooling my day, then at night, working up a sweat. Come on, girl, let's go. Show the guys that we know how to control. #1 in a hot body show. Now push it.
Every Kia now comes with Australia's only 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty.
Why this watch? This watch is an icon of impossible achievement,
6 games.
grace under pressure, battles endured, champions crowned, and records broken. It doesn't just tell time, it tells history.
Pure feel good.
Quarterfinal day is going to continue in just a few moments on Rod Laver Arena. It's going to be Madison Keys up against Venus Williams, Serena Williams and Dominika Cibulkova to follow. Stan Wawrinka up against Kaylee Shikori Kelly. What a great day session, but all interest in the young girl from the United States, Madison Keys. She knocked out the 4th seed Petra Kvitova on Friday night. Also disposed of Casey Dellacqua along the way. She's played some outstanding tennis. Big stage on Rod Laver Arena against a seasoned player who's been to this Pointy M plenty of times. She knows what it's all about. Her 34th Grand Slam quarterfinal for Venus Williams today.
It's going to be power hitting, and let's hope it lives up to the expectations, Brett, because yesterday the 2 women's quarterfinals done and dusted in a tick over an hour. But I just get the feeling with these 2 that we're going to see from live from 11 a.m. could really go the distance. The question on Venus is, has she got the legs to continue on? She's played a really tough couple of 3-setters already in the first 9 days. And Dominika Cibulkova, has she got the power to go toe-to-toe with the great Serena Williams? And can Serena bring her A-game? We haven't seen it too much or too often so far in this Grand Slam. So she really needs to step it up if she's going to advance through to the semi-final and look to go all the way to Saturday night's final.
Well, there's a lot of great storylines from today. I mean, Madison Keys, what an opportunity just to maybe break through at 19. We haven't seen a girl that young break through for a long time. We're going to go back to the days of Martina Hingis and Jennifer Capriati and the like, who were winning majors at 19 years of age. Yep. It's become tougher as girls have got older, obviously. Venus Williams, and a fairy tale at the back end of her career. Serena hasn't won here for 5 years, which has gone in the blink of an eye when she was winning here at least every second year for quite a while. And Dominika Cibulkova, well, the only Grand Slam she's broken through to a final was here last year, so she's got great memories playing here at Melbourne Park, feeding off the crowd. She's a great street fighter, and the Melbourne crowd love that. They love the underdog who's prepared to give it everything.
And it should be pointed out that Dominika Cibulkova has done really well to defend her points and get all the way through to the quarter final, particularly when she wasn't really talked about in these opening few days here, as we see Madison Keys just warming up, ready to step out for the biggest match of her life against her idol. We talked about it earlier, the amazing story of how she got involved in tennis, saw Venus Williams playing, liked the dress, asked her parents if she could buy it, and they said, well, if you wear the dress, you've got to hit some tennis balls. And here she is, 19 years later, about to play in her first Grand Slam quarter-final. 15 years difference between these two players, and maybe it might just show on the court, although of course Madison Keys will be nervous, the heart will just be thumping out of the chest at the moment. Can she just stay calm and remain composed? But this is a future Grand Slam champion that we are looking at the moment, coached by Lindsay Davenport. Lindsay would have been in her ear, given her some great little tactics and advice. She knows Venus better than anyone else. She's played Venus more than any other player out there on tour. It feels like an eternity since Lindsay Davenport has retired, but a former world number one, powerful ground stroker, plays very similar to Madison Keys. And already the fans finding their seats, getting a good spot, ready to roll for day 10 action. Perfect weather, 23 degrees is the maximum, currently around 20. We had 35,000 through the gates yesterday, and we'll probably get more than that today for the last half of the quarterfinals. And at the end of today, Brett, we'll be down to the final four in both the men's and the women's.
Indeed. 46 career titles for Venus Williams, just one for Madison Keys. So they're at opposite ends of the tennis spectrum, but Venus Williams is showing she's got plenty of fight, plenty of determination to add more trophies. She won in Auckland to start the year. She climbed back into the top 20 at the end of 2014. So maybe there's another chapter to be written in the Venus Williams story. What an amazing one it was. Onto the scene first, winning those major titles before sister Serena started to dominate the tour. And as a combined story, it'll be a book that will be worth reading in a few years' time. And I'm sure there'll be a documentary put out on the Williams sisters and their amazing journey to get to the top of the tennis tree. And this is the walk where the players really zone in, Kel, past all the champions that have won on Rod Laver Arena, and it's game on.
Well, Madison Keys has been like the Nick Kyrgios story on the women's tour. Young, 19, playing loose, playing free, nothing to lose. Today, has she got the legs to get over the line against Venus Williams?
Let's leave you with all the action on Rod Laver Arena. Enjoy the tennis, everyone. Quarter-final day continues through to tonight as well with Novak Djokovic and Milos Raonic. Enjoy your day at the tennis. Get around and see all the show courts as well. We're about to get underway on RLA.
Folks, also joining us on this fine Wednesday, week 2 of the championship, we have young Talia Gibson. Now, Talia is with the Brixton Street Tennis Club in Western Australia. She's coached by John Roberts. She's hit the Super 10s national finals being held here at Golden Park this week. And Talia, under the tutelage of our 10 umpire, will toss the coin to decide the choice of ends in this women's quarter-final match. And a nice photo, of course, too, with Madison and with Vince. So let's make Talia Gibson all the way from Western Australia. Welcome onto centre court. A big moment for her tossing the ball.
All the way to Melbourne, just Hi there. We have Tyler to help us with the coin toss. You guys have any question? No? Heads or tails?
Tails.
Go ahead. Very good. Heads. Serve? Okay, can we take a picture with her facing that side?
Thank you, Natalia. What a great photo. Thank you to Madison and Linus for taking part as well. Last year, Madison Keys won her first WTA Tour title with victory at the Eastbourne Tournament in Great Britain. Also in 2014, a semi-finalist in Sydney and Strasbourg, and a quarter-finalist at Osaka in Japan. She started her Grand Slam career in 2011, and that was at the US Open at Flushing Meadow. Ladies and gentlemen, on this fine Wednesday on centre court from the United States of America, let's welcome Madison Keys. Venus Williams has now won 46 career singles titles, including this year's Auckland tournament in New Zealand. She won the Wimbledon Championship in 2000, 2001, 2005, 2007, and again in 2008. And the US Championship in 2000 and 2001. Last year she won in Dubai, was a finalist in Auckland, a finalist in Montreal, and a finalist in Quebec City in Canada. And she returns to Melbourne as our 18th seed in the championship of 2015. Great to see her back on centre court from the United States of America, Venus Williams. And in the chair, presiding over proceedings on centre court from Portugal, we welcome Mariana Alves.
Two minutes. 1 minute. Ladies and gentlemen, Venus Williams won the toss and chose to serve. Time. First set, Venus Williams to serve. Ready? Play. Love 15.